afternoon, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, welcoming you back to the second hour. That's right, the second hour. We're going right to the phones right away. We've got a full board. By the way, 866-582-9933. Give us a shout like Jerry from Kentucky did. Jerry from Kentucky. Welcome aboard, Jerry. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden.
Hey, Jerry, what's going on, man? Thanks for the call. How's every little thing in Kentucky?
It's pretty hot here.
Yeah, man. It's hot everywhere in this country right now, although it's a little cooler in Chicago than it has been. We got a little break here, but yeah, man, it's been pretty hot July, hasn't it?
It has. Very hot. I got a fellow's got West Nile virus, and he's not doing good at all.
All right, well, how does he know he has West Nile virus? And did he have anything else, before that? Was there anything else going on in his life, like a blood sugar issue? He's diabetic, or he had high blood pressure, or he had arthritis, or he had a fake hip, or anything like that? Or was he healthy as a horse, and then he got West Nile virus?
He's had gluten intolerance for a long time, and he's just now got out of that, and he got his digestion better. He got excruciating pain in all of his joints. The chiropractor found his shoulder joint is out of socket, and he can't lift his arm. His hand is swelling. And he's in a lot of pain.
And he thinks it's the West Nile virus? Why do they think it's the West Nile virus? I'm just curious.
The MD's doctor diagnosed that and also said it was the tick virus, what do they call that?
Lyme disease?
Lyme disease, yeah, said he had that too.
So he's got Lyme disease and the West Nile virus. I doubt very much that he has both. It sounds to me like a fishy diagnosis. I wouldn't put my faith in it. The only thing I put my faith in with MDs is, in their ability to sew up a bleeding artery, their ability to help me recover from an acute heart attack, heaven forbid, their ability to, perform emergency heroic medicine, because that's their wheelhouse. However, as Harvard University pointed out 2 years ago, 55%, I believe, it's between 50 and 60% of MDs who work in emergency rooms are addicted to street drugs, alcohol, or prescription medication. So, the MD's wheelhouse is acute trauma care, but if you're ever unlucky enough to be transported into the MD's wheelhouse, you should demand that your medical professional be drug tested before you let them lay a finger on you. But I digress. So, I have no idea really what the true diagnosis is, but what I'm going to recommend is a boilerplate medical nutrition program to really kind of give his body a fighting chance here in a big-time way. Jerry from Kentucky, how much does this guy weigh? Do you know?
About 150.
Okay. So I would give him one healthy digestion pack. I give him one healthy digestion pack. I give him 3 bottles of Ultimate Selenium, one healthy digestion pack, 3 bottles of Ultimate Selenium, and 4 bottles of Z-Radical. 4 bottles of Z-Radical, 3 bottles of Ultimate Selenium, and 1 healthy digestion pack. Now, if it is, this isn't going to hurt. This next add-on is not going to hurt. And if he is dealing with an infectious, organism, like a virus or a spirochete, then the killer biotic is a really smart thing to do to support and promote the function of the immune system. So at 150 pounds, I would give him 1 killer biotic a month. I give him 4 killer biotic a day, 4 killer biotic a day, plus the Z-Radical, plus the selenium, plus the healthy digestion pack. And you always need to be suspicious when somebody diagnoses Lyme disease, because it is a very, 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 very tricky thing to diagnose. I should know. I was in the business of diagnosing it for 12 years. I had a medical practice in the second most active Lyme disease vector place in the United States, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and Nantucket Island, Massachusetts. Massive amounts of Lyme disease there. So I know of which I speak. So give them the healthy digestion pack, the selenium, the Z-Radical, and the killer biotic. Of course, have him eliminate the other foods besides gluten that are in the 10 bad food list, and have him do that for 90 days. And if we're doing everything correctly, he should get some bang from this in the first 14 days. There should be something noticeably positive that happens in the first 14 days. Jerry, thanks for going to bat for your friend. You know, this is what we're up against now, right? As it turns out, you're a better resource for him than his medical doctor is. And, you know, this is where we're at here in the great United States of America. We need to hold each other up, lift each other up. So thanks for going out on a limb for your friend and taking action with longevity. I appreciate everything that you do, Jerry. Now go out there and get her done. Going from Kentucky to Wyoming, going to talk to Jacob in Wyoming right now. Hey, Jacob, thanks for calling. You are live.
Thanks for taking my call, Dr. Glidden. I have a man who has 7 crushed vertebrae, stress seizures. He weighs 228 pounds. His height is 5'8". He's 44 years old. He said he has no asthma or skin problems. However, his cheeks look a little red. He's taken 800 milligram ibuprofen, thiazidine, hydrocodone, and Talvamax.
Holy smoly macaroni. How did he get 7 crushed vertebrae?
From what I understand, he had an incident that happened a while back when he was younger. Here, let me ask my friend Al real fast. Hey, Al, what happened to Kelly? He was injured in a work accident, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, well, if anybody from St. George is listening, if anybody from St. George, Utah is listening, or Nevada, or somewhere, you know where I'm talking about. It's Nevada. If anybody from St. George, Nevada is listening, give me a call because there was somebody in your group that had a remarkable testimonial. I think there were 2 people in your group that had a remarkable testimonial about massive injuries to their bodies, you know, from trauma, and then the recovery therefrom thereafter with longevity. Some of the most remarkable testimonials I've ever heard came out of St. George. And we had the father of one of these people on my radio show about a year ago when we first started. This guy's daughter was in an automobile accident. She'd had a number of surgeries to save her life, thank God. In the last surgery that they gave her, they put a screw into her spinal cord and paralyzed her from the waist down. Long story short, with longevity, she was able to recover. Now she's walking. She's not paralyzed anymore. Remarkable improvement across the board. There was another kid. He was a young kid. He was in his early 20s. I forget what type of an accident he was in. I don't know if it was a motorcycle accident or an automobile accident. Can't remember. He might have fallen off a ladder at work. I can't remember, but he macerated his spine. Crushed vertebrae, destroyed bones. I mean, he was a mess, man. Was in lots of pain, of course, on lots of pain meds, and really the MDs, there's only so far they can go. He started our program, and, 6 months later I was back in St. George giving another lecture, and he came up and shook my hand and gave me a big hug. I didn't even recognize him. He'd completely recovered from all of the problems that he had from the injury. So I've seen it happen. And again, this is a point worth pondering because, your body's ability to fix itself is greater than anyone has led you to believe. Your body's ability to fix itself is greater than anybody has led you to believe. And this is our entire message, right? There is a point of no return, but I don't know where it is. Your surgeon doesn't know where it is. Your MD certainly doesn't know what it is. You need the nutrients anyway, so we might as well be aggressive for 90 days in a situation like this. Keep our fingers crossed and just see how far back the body is able to bounce. And sometimes you might be surprised at how far back it comes. So really the recommendation here is 1 healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, 1 bottle of selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, 1 capsule of glucogel per 10 pounds of body weight per day. 1 capsule of glucogel per 10 pounds of body weight per day. Now, once you have that program dialed in, here's what I want you to add to it. 1 bottle of OsteoFX Plus per month, 1 bottle of Glucogel Plus per month, and 1 bottle or more of Z-Radical a month. If you can afford 4 bottles of Z-Radical, do it. If you can't do that, then 3-2. I want you to at least do 1 bottle of Z-Radical, 1 bottle of glucogel in the liquid form, one bottle of the OsteoFX Plus Extra, and then the Healthy Start Pack and the glucogel and selenium. It's an aggressive program, but that's what this person needs. For goodness sake, he's been macerated not only by the injury, but also by the ridiculous therapeutics. Now, also, please be advised that drugs work in the human body through the metabolism of the human body, and the metabolism of the human body is comprised of vitamins and minerals and essential fatty acids and amino acids, right? So when somebody is nutritionally deficient and you give them drugs, it's hard for the drugs to work. This is why the drugs lose their steam and they need to be upregulated, and you need to take more of them and then you need to switch it out to a different kind. It's not because the drugs aren't working anymore, but because your body has run out of the stuff it needs to make the drugs work. So the reverse is true. If he's taken a boatload of prescription medications and then he goes on a medical nutrition program, the medications are going to start to work really strongly and really well, or really strongly. I don't know well, but they're going to start to work really strongly. So into the bargain here, he should educate himself as to the side effects of these medications and what it's like if you take too much. Because if he continues his current dose of the meds and adds a vitamin program, the meds are going to start to work better and he might suffer the symptoms of an overdose, and he needs to know what those are. So if he starts to feel funky like that, he can quick go to a pharmacist or an MD and have them reduce his prescriptions appropriately. Because remember, what we're up to here is to get people so healthy that they can safely, effectively, and efficiently stop all of their prescription meds. So check it out there, Jacob. Thanks for calling. Thanks for being an advocate for the health of your friend. This is how we do it here at Longevity, ladies and gentlemen. We lift each other up in one big coalition of the informed. Stick around. More calls when we come back. Lenny Kravitz in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for tuning back in. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Check us out on the World Wide Web. You know the address, fireyourmdnow.com. You need to spread the word. We need to spread the word about this radio show, this internet broadcast. You can listen to this anywhere in the world live. You don't have to have a radio station access. Awesome if you do. Awesome if you do. Even better for the radio station. Because guess what? We have residual incomes for the radio station owners. Residual incomes for the radio station owners. How about that? That will kick the butt of contemporary radio advertising. The wise radio station managers around the country are picking up this show because they know the wonders of residual income. It kicks the butt of regular radio advertising income. So if you know anybody that owns a radio show, or, you can plug if you're a Longevity member, you can plug this radio show to a local affiliate, a local radio in your town. Have them get in touch with us. Have them get in touch with my office, 855-347-3696. That's 855-347-3696, 855-347-3696, and we'll enroll them in our method here. And then, hey, you get the residual income from everybody that calls up on that radio station, and wouldn't that beat a poke in the eye with a sharp stick? Are you starting to see the light yet, or little light bubbles starting to go off in your brain? I hope so. We're going to go to Normandy, Arizona right now. Didn't even know there was a Normandy, Arizona. Actually, we're going to go to Arizona and talk to Normandy. That's what we're going to do. Hey, Normandy, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. Thanks for taking our call.
Hey,
we
you're
are
welcome.
Glidden junkies. Listen to you every day.
Hey, fabulous. Well, I appreciate the support. Remember, we're all in this together now. Tell me, what part of Arizona are you in?
We are in Queen Creek, and you came and saw us in about April, and we were at the Barney Family Sports Center. And
yeah, I remember well. Yeah, man, it was hot back in April. I can't imagine what it's like now. What's it like down there? What's the temperature now outside?
Today it's only like 103, but it's humid because we've had the monsoons in, and we've actually been in California, so we have been enjoying the beautiful California weather for the last few days.
Yeah,
get out of this heat. So
it's only 103. Yeah. I remember the first time the first time in my life I was ever in the southwest of the United States, it was years and years ago, maybe 10 years ago, for a naturopathic medical conference, and it was in Phoenix, Arizona. It was at the Biltmore Hotel in August in Phoenix, Arizona. And, you know, I wondered to myself, what the heck are we doing in Phoenix, Arizona in August? Well, I'll tell you what we were doing. We got an unbelievable rate at the Biltmore because nobody else wanted to be there.
Exactly.
Exactly. So here's my Phoenix story, and I'm going to tell it over the air now because this is a short segment and we're coming up against a hard break, and I want you to have a long time to talk, okay? So you're going to have to stick with me through the next commercial break, and then you'll come back. We'll have a lot of time to chat. So let me tell my story right now. So I drive into Phoenix, right? I landed at the airport there. Well, I don't even know the name of the Phoenix airport, whatever. And I get into a cab, and I tell the cabbie, you know, he'll take me to the Biltmore, right? And so we're driving from the airport to the hotel, and I'm looking around outside the windows. I feel like I'm in, you know, like a post-apocalyptic war zone because I don't even see one human being. I mean, I see nobody, 0 people. I don't see anybody at all. It's Phoenix, Arizona, for goodness sake. There's nobody walking around. This is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, by the way. I tap the cabbie on the shoulder and I say, what the heck is going on? Where is everybody? And he looks at me like I'm crazy, and he says, what do you mean? He says, everybody's inside. He said, it's way too hot for anybody to even be outside. And that blew my mind because, you know, I'm a New Englander and I've never been in that kind of heat before. I mean, I didn't even know it could get that hot before, honestly. Talk about not knowing what you don't know. So, but the icing on the cake, right, I get into the hotel, I check in, I'm unpacking my bags in the room, and I was traveling solo that time. I was all by myself, and so I turned the TV on for a little company. And so, you know, the afternoon news pops up, and they were doing a little P&R, a little, you know, kind of promotional thing for a local company, as you know, like local news stations will do little promotional things for different businesses in town. Well, there was a pizza place in downtown Phoenix, and they were cooking a pizza on the roof of a car parked outside their establishment. That's how hot it was. My head exploded. So, you know, my heart goes out to you down there in hot Phoenix, down there in Arizona. We have lots of dedicated followers down there making a big difference in the health and wealth of their friends, family, church members, and community members. We're going to kick it off with Normandy. Keep talking to Normandy when we come back, folks. Stick around. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you. And tonight, for subscription holders, we're having an extra live chat session. We don't normally do anything on Tuesday night, but we're doing it tonight, 8 o'clock Central Time. Check it out right there as part of your monthly subscription service. You stand, we deliver. Going back to Arizona here to talk to Normandy about why she really called, which I'm pretty sure wasn't to talk about the weather with Dr. Glidden. Welcome back, Normandy. How can I help?
Unfortunately. My husband's an ICU nurse, and one of his buddies texted us while we were on vacation about their son, who is 3 months old, 14.5 pounds, and they think he might possibly have leukemia.
Oh.
His hemoglobin has dropped to 7.1, and they gave blood and platelets and FFP, which you probably know what that is more than I do. So he has distended abdomen, enlarged liver, enlarged spleen, been running fevers. His white blood count is at 77,000, and blood in the stool and C. diff now.
Well, the game is afoot, right? How old is the kid?
3 months, 14.5 pounds.
How's the mother?
Mother is not breastfeeding. She's...
Well, thank God. I mean, that probably saved the kid's life. I mean, that would be a bad thing to do at this point in time. And everybody always freaks out when the naturopathic doctor says, hey, don't breastfeed. But in a circumstance like this, I wouldn't, because this child's, you know, he's 14 months old, so where did all of this stuff come from? Does he have a voodoo curse?
3 months old. 3
months old, right? Does he have like really bad karma, like a voodoo curse? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Right, so it had to come from the mother. And so the most reasonable thing to assume here is that the child's nutritional status was impaired right from the get-go through the entire pregnancy, and that's the obstetrician's fault. It's not the mother's fault. The mother, it doesn't know any better. I mean, the mother pays insurance premiums every month to get advice about how to keep her family healthy, how to keep her body healthy, how to survive while living on good old, the beautiful planet Earth. But the obstetrician let her down because she gave birth to a kid that was sickly. And why did she give birth to a kid that was sickly? Because the obstetrician has no understanding, no respect, no appreciation, and no knowledge of medical nutrition whatsoever. It's nonsense. So what the heck are we going to do here, right? There's only so far we can go. Newborn babies have a remarkable staying power, a remarkable vital force, a remarkable resiliency. So, the recommendation here would be the Healthy Start Pack and selenium and plant minerals. The Healthy Start Pack, selenium, and plant minerals. Now, the Healthy Start Pack is dosed at 1 level scoop per 50 pounds of body weight. 1 EFA capsule per 30 pounds of body weight. And 1 teaspoon of the white liquid calcium per 50 pounds of body weight. 1 teaspoon of the white liquid calcium per 50 pounds of body weight. The selenium is dosed at, it's 1 capsule per, let's say 30 pounds of body weight. So if, so you probably want to give this child half a capsule of the selenium, half a capsule of the EFA plus. I have no idea. You're going to have to calculate the dose downwards for the white liquid calcium and the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. But because of the state of affairs of his health or her health, right, the little baby's health, instead of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, I would use Beyond Tangy 2.0. I would use the Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, and I would also give the liquid plant minerals. And the liquid plant minerals are also dosed at 1 tablespoon per 50 pounds of body weight per month. 1 tablespoon per 50 pounds of body weight per month. So you can down-regulate the dosages appropriately. And by the way, there's no harm and no foul in giving more, right? You can't overdose with this stuff. Well, you can. But you'd have to give, this child like a half a bottle of the stuff a day, right, in order to even come close to giving an overdose. So you don't really have to worry about overdosing because that's not really into the picture here. The child's body is starving for nutrients. So in this case, we're just going to, hope and pray, give the child all the nutrients his body needs, get the heck out of the way and see what happens. And I have to tell you, from a pure diagnostic point of view, when there's a lot of stuff like this going on, it's easy to get confused. And, once a diagnosis is made by somebody, by some attending physician, gets a bright idea and thinks that it might be leukemia, thinks that it might be Lyme disease, thinks that it might be whatever, once it goes on the chart, nobody questions it. Even if it's not so, even if it was presumptive and not definitive, right? Once it goes on the chart, well, that's like, gospel. And it's very, very easy in complicated cases like this to have 2 or 3 misdiagnoses going on all at the same time. And because MDs are intellectually cowardly, and they really don't, they're not focused here the way that they should be, it's easy for misdiagnoses to be populated out into the future. So, every week I would have a second opinion, right? Every week I would bring in a different doctor to give a second opinion about what the heck is going on. Hopefully a doctor that doesn't have any affiliation with the hospital that this child is in. Because if the new doctor has an affiliation with the hospital that they're in, then, it's like a boys' club or a girls' club, and they're all going to get together in the smoke-filled room. Or the pharmaceutical-laden room, and they're all going to come up with the same thing. So there's a lot of things going on here. First of all, we have to kind of try to let the fog settle here so that we can see which way to go. And the best way to burn off the fog is to give the child basic boilerplate foundation nutritional stuff. Keep your fingers crossed and see what happens. Does that make sense, Normandy?
It does make sense, and it's okay just to go ahead and put it in formula then, so he's getting...
Yeah, no problem. And also do a Google search. And I keep threatening to put this on my website. I haven't done it yet just because I forget. there are some really good recipes for a goat's milk formula. Homemade goat's milk formula for this child would be way better than any Pediasure or any other crap that they're going to be giving him. I'm glad that he's not breastfeeding, because that really would have complicated things. So, you know, do a Google search for homemade goat's milk formula. Off the top of my head, I think it's goat's milk and maple syrup and something else. But, yeah, you can add the calcium and the minerals into the formula. I wouldn't add the Beyond Tangy Tangerine into the formula. I would give that separate. But you can do it, add all the stuff. I mean, you know, make a little recipe. It's not going to hurt. It's all going into the same place, right? So moving forward, this, you know, is going to be an interesting little experiment. But really, I think that this is the child's only hope, is to give his body foundation medical nutrition, keep your fingers crossed, and see if the magic of the body kicks in. Make sense?
It does. Thank you so much. I have one more quick question. We've been researching for your eye solution. It had something with, I want to say, selenium and colloidal silver that you did an eye solution with. Can you tell us that recipe real quick?
An eye solution for what was I talking about?
For glaucoma.
All right. So to support and promote eye health in the face of a diagnosis of glaucoma, that we give selenium orally. Interesting. There's an interesting little anecdote here, you know, and what we do with medicine. I mean, what medical doctors should do, they don't do it anymore. They used to. They don't do it anymore. But and what all holistic physicians do, especially naturopaths, is we actually practice medicine. Well, what does that mean? That means, you know, we'll read about stuff. We'll read about different therapeutics and different herbal preparations and different mineral formulations and this, that, and the other thing. Things that our colleagues have tried. We'll go to conferences and colleagues will tell us, oh, you know, I had a patient with rheumatoid arthritis and we tried this herb and it was a remarkable recovery. And so, hey, that's good enough for me. This person is a licensed physician whom I know and I respect, and you know, I know they're not blowing smoke, and so I'm going to apply their therapeutic. It's called the practice of medicine. You don't need $60 million of pharmaceutical-funded, slanted, one-sided research to give you a clue about what to do next, right? We adapt and we apply and we see what happens. We adapt and we apply and we see what happens. Well, we do this all of the time. And the MDs have stopped doing it because they've, again, you know, they're so far invested in this reductionistic medical model promulgated by the pharmaceutical industry that it is laughable. On the one hand, they'll say, oh, double-blind this and double-blind that, and we can't move forward unless we have a placebo-controlled study. And then when the pharmaceutical company delivers a $60 million placebo-controlled study that has been stilted and the facts have been fuddled with, they're okay with that. And my evidence for that is, well, you know, there's over 30 drugs and medical devices which were approved by the Food and Drug Administration as okay for you to use because they did the $60 million of double-blinded research. And then the medicines were approved, and then people started dying because the research was faulty. So, you know, research methodology is just one methodology, and it's really easy to mess with that methodology when you start throwing big money into it, because big money is going to corrupt it the same way that big money corrupts politics. It happens all the time. And it happens way more in research and in the medical theater than anybody is willing to admit, save perhaps Jonathan Emord. Jonathan Emord is the only other person I've heard come out and say this, you know, besides Dr. Wallach and me. So the point that I'm trying to make here in a really roundabout way is we observe anecdotally through things that we've read in medical journals and things that our colleagues at medical conferences have told us. We extrapolate, we think, we use the intellect, and then we move forward and we apply, and then we record, and then we share that information with all of our friends. And this is why it's called the practice of medicine, because it's evolving all of the time. So I'm here to tell you as a witness that one of the best things that this kid can do is stop doing the over-the-counter formula and do a goat's milk formula with maple syrup in it. You can find that recipe on the internet very easily. I would switch to that. Keep your fingers crossed and see what happens. Now, with the eye health, right, what we experience here is that in the animal kingdom, the animals who have the best eyesight have the most amount of selenium in and around the eyeball. When you do autopsies and chemical analyses of the retina of these animals, it's loaded with selenium, way more than animals who have less perfect vision. So therefore we extrapolate that, well, guess what? Selenium must have an intimate relationship with optimal functioning of the eye. I mean, that's not a giant leap. And so when we're attempting to support and promote the structure and function of eye health, we overdo it with selenium, number one, just for overall eye health. And our position on glaucoma is that glaucoma is caused by the same thing that causes clogged arteries in the heart. It's clogged little blood vessels in and around the eye. I mean, if you do an anatomical dissection of the eye, there are hundreds of these teeny circulatory vessels and blood vessels and lymph vessels, the intention of which is to bring good stuff to the eye and take bad stuff away. Well, when those vessels get clogged up, guess what? You're going to have glaucoma. So what we use to support and promote the structure and function of those vessels that feed the eye is the Ultimate Daily Capsules. That would be our secret sauce when we're up against somebody with a diagnosis of glaucoma. It's Ultimate Daily Capsules given at 1 bottle per 200 pounds of body weight per month. And don't forget selenium. Check it out, Normandy. You continue to rock down there in Arizona. Remember, you are the last best hope your friends and family and church members have for a long and healthy life. Go out there and enroll, baby, enroll. Stick around, folks. Coming back after these words. Hey, I always say it, don't I, that you don't know what you don't know and you don't know what you're missing. Well, you don't. Nobody does. It's not you. It's just the way that it is in wonderful planet Earth living the human experience. So check it out. Please visit my website. Go to my website right now if you have not already done that, fireyourmdnow.com, and sign up for 1 month for my online health recovery subscription service. And it's not a calendar month, by the way. It's 30 days from when you sign up. 30 days from when you sign up. It's going to be the best $20 you've ever spent. By the way, cancel at any time. And cancel at any time. You know, what's the worst that can happen? You're going to lose $20. What's the best that's going to happen? You're going to be amazed at the information that you receive. Knowledge is power. Let's lift each other up. We're going to go talk to Bill in Ohio right now. Hey, Bill, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Glidden. I'm a first-time caller and new member since June 1st.
Hey, welcome aboard, Bill. Fantastic. If I had my sound effect working, I'd give you a great big round of applause. Thanks for calling, man. How can I help?
I'm using the anti-start pack with extra selenium and calcium, and I bought some silver and the chocolate, too.
Nice.
But I do have a sinus infection, just came on, and this happens periodically during the year, and I know if I go to my MD, he'll probably say I have a bacterial infection. I should, he'll give me a script for antibiotics and some codeine cough medicine. But
yeah,
what would you recommend?
All right. Well, this really is a really great thing to talk about here, because this underlines the difference between what we do and what the MDs do. So is it your experience, Bill, that these sinus attacks happen on a regular basis? Is this like an old friend that always comes back?
Yeah, and I do swim 3 times a week at the YMCA and do laps.
Well,
and
that's great and good for you, but if it was the swimming and being in the water that did it, then every Olympic swimmer would have chronic sinusitis and everybody at the YMCA would have chronic sinusitis. So that may be a factor here, but that ain't the cause, okay? We need to keep it all in perspective.
Yeah.
So, well, all right, go ahead.
They do have summer camp with a whole bunch of kids, and I'm retired, so then I get in contact with those people, so I might pick it up there.
Well, it's entirely possible, but really there's 2 things to consider here, right? Number one, of course, is whether you've been exposed to an infectious agent like a bacteria or a virus, and number 2 is whether or not the environment of your body is supportive of the life of that organism. And it's kind of like the difference between it's mosquitoes. I mean, mosquitoes is a perfect example. if I built a man-made pond in my backyard, and I wasn't paying attention to it, and the drain of the pond got clogged, right? So there's a source for good water to go in, and there's a source for bad water to go out, and the pond is refreshed all of the time. Then when that happens, I've got no mosquitoes because the water is not stagnant, and mosquitoes can only breed in stagnant water. But if the water becomes stagnant for whatever reason, because the inflow pipe gets jammed or the outflow pipe gets jammed, then I'm going to have stagnant water in the pond, and all of a sudden I'm going to have mosquitoes in my backyard because that's where mosquitoes breed. So it ain't so much the bacteria that we need to worry about as it is the environment of your sinus cavity, which is giving the bacteria room to grow, right? So, you know, how an MD would treat a mosquito infection is they'd fly over the pond with napalm. They'd wipe everything out in the pond, and then they'd keep their fingers crossed. But if the water is still stagnant, you're going to have more mosquitoes. But these next mosquitoes are going to be resistant to napalm. A better solution is to, you know, make sure that everything is working properly so you get good water in and bad water out, and there's no stagnant water and there's no mosquitoes. And so this is what we do. So what you need to do, in my opinion, in addition to the supplements that you're doing, is clean your diet up. You need to eliminate the 10 bad foods from your diet, and you also need to go one step further. For 4 weeks in a row, I would completely eliminate from your consumption anything made from cow's milk. No milk, no cream, no cheese, no yogurt, no ice cream, no sour cream. The only exception would be butter. I'm okay if you have butter. I'd be better if you had clarified butter, ghee, G-H-E-E. Look up on the internet how to make clarified butter. But go completely dairy-free for 4 weeks and also eliminate the 10 bad foods. And into the bargain here, you can use the Killer Biotic, 9 capsules a day for 10 days. 9 capsules a day of the Killer Biotic for 10 days. And shoot that colloidal silver up into your nasal cavity a couple times a day. Wish I had more time, Bill. Go out there and get them. Call me back tomorrow if you need to. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Glidden here, over and out. I'll see you tomorrow.